Hey John, good to see you again. How you been since I saw you last week?
Fine.
How was your weekend?
It was good.
What was your favorite thing that you did?
There's a free foster kid thing at the zoo, and my foster parents took me and my little sister, and then my other sister's foster parents took them, so we got to do stuff together.
That sounds fun. What kind of stuff did they have there?
Well, it was like normal zoo stuff, but then they had bouncy houses and cotton candy and face painting, and I got my face painted like a transformer.
I bet you looked pretty cool. Which animal was your favorite?
I like the tigers. And the monkeys are pretty funny.
What about your sisters?
I like the pandas best.
I like pandas a lot too. Sounds like your sisters are cool girls. I'm so glad you got to have so much fun with them.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Good. Are you ready to get started then?
Sure.
Okay then. Well, this session is going to look a lot like the last session did. Last week, you said that you believed your foster parents want you to talk to me because you get angry a lot. And you said you don't like how you get angry and want to know how to stop it. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this week, we're going to keep working with that in mind. You're going to get to share how you did with your homework assignments, and then we'll talk about what we want to write in your goals journal for this week. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You remember the homework I gave you last week? Oh. Okay, it was to try some of the ideas we came up with when you found yourself getting really upset. Remember we called them coping skills?
Yeah, I remember. I tried them.
I knew you could. We're already off to a great start. How about you tell me in your own words what the two ideas were first?
Well, one of them was to take the 3 deep breaths. When I started getting really mad, I felt my heart beating really fast, making my fist get like this.
Yeah, that's right. Very good. Did you try that?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about a time that you tried that and what happened?
Well, my foster mom has been using that behavior board that you gave her every day. And every day I get smiley faces from my teacher and my planner. I get 30 extra minutes to play with my Nintendo DS.
Cool. That sounds pretty fair.
Yeah, well, on Wednesday I didn't get a smiley face. But it wasn't my fault. It was the other kid's fault.
Okay, John. How about you try those 3 deep breaths now, like we talked about? Very good. Now why don't you tell me what happened on Wednesday?
Well, I was at recess and I had checked out the basketball and was shooting hoops by myself, and this kid named Danny came over and said that I shouldn't get the ball since I was only playing by myself, and I should give it to people who were going to play a real game.
I see. What happened after that?
I told him I checked it out fair and square, and then he made fun of me for never having other people to play with, so I threw the basketball at him.
Ooh. Did you hurt Danny?
No, I didn't want to hurt him. I just wanted to scare him so he'd leave me alone. Besides, it wasn't my fault. I checked it out fair and square. He shouldn't have made fun of me. I have a few friends. They just don't have the same recess as me.
John, I hear that you're upset and you feel like you were treated unfairly.
Yeah.
That must have been pretty hard to take.
Yeah, it was.
And you're right. You did check the ball out fair and square. And since you checked it out fair and square, it's okay for you to play with it however you choose, whether it's with one person or with lots of people.
Right.
But do you think checking the ball out to hit someone with it is one of the uses of the recess toys?
Probably not. But he started it.
Again, I can see how you would feel like Danny was being unfair, and it is true that it was not your fault that he treated you unfairly. But whose decision was it to throw the ball at Danny?
Mine.
So Danny was responsible for how Danny acted, and who was responsible for how John acted?
Me. John.
That's right, you, John. So we can agree that even though Danny might have treated you unfairly, you are responsible for how you responded to that.
I guess.
Well, I'm proud of you, John. You started out by telling me the story, saying none of it was your fault. And now you're looking at it a bit differently. I know it's hard to admit when we might not have made the best choice, but you taking responsibility shows you're really capable of making the changes you've said you want to make. I hope that makes you feel good.
I guess it does.
Good. Now let's get back to the coping skills. The 3 deep breaths. You didn't get a smiley face on Wednesday, so...
So, when my foster mom saw it, she told me, "You know what that means, John, no extra DS time." And I got really mad, and I told her it wasn't my fault, and that I was just about to beat my next level, and I needed my extra DS time. And she just kept saying, "You know the deal, no smiley face, no extra DS time." And I started going like this, and I started to yell, and she reminded me of the 3 breaths. And I couldn't do them at first, but I did them after she told me a couple times, and then I went to my room. And after I was there a while, I felt better.
That's excellent, John. You really used the skill well.
No, she had to tell me a bunch of times before I did it.
Well, that is still a goal we will keep working towards. But we're just starting out at this, and it says a lot about your determination to reach your goals that you used your deep breaths at all. Sometimes it can take other kids a long time to even remember their coping skills when they feel so angry, but you were able to, and that's a big deal. You should be proud of yourself.
I guess.
So that was one skill we talked about. But what was the other one?
When a kid at school is making me mad, instead of hitting them something, I can tell them something like, I don't care, or I'm not interested in what you have to say right now, so please give me some space.
Right, and we call that the space statement.
And if they don't, I can tell a teacher that I tried to not get mad and ask them for help so that I don't do anything bad.
And were you able to do that this week?
Well, I should have maybe done that with Danny, but I forgot.
Yeah, that's okay. Were you able to do it a different time?
Kind of. My foster mom dropped me off at the bus stop, and then right before we got to school, some kids on the bus started making fun of me because I'm white and my foster mom is black. So they were saying how she must not be my real mom, and this kid started saying stuff about my real mom.
That must have been really hard to hear.
Yeah, I kept telling him that I didn't want to hear what he had to say, and I kept looking out the window.
That's really great, John. That must have taken a lot of self-control when he was saying things like that.
Yeah. When he didn't stop, I got up and I told the bus driver, and she said that we'd take care of it when we got to school, but when I sat back down, he kept talking about my mom, so I pushed him into the other seat. I got detention, and I didn't get a smiley face that day either.
Well, of course we can't push people, and they make us mad, and there are consequences, like detention, when we do things like that. So that is something we will keep working on, but I still want to say that I'm very proud of you for using the coping skill of telling someone you aren't interested in what they have to say, and for asking for help from an adult. That shows a lot of maturity.
I guess.
So remember our scaling questions, 1 through 10?
Yeah.
And what was 1?
1 is the days where I get mad all the time, or won't listen to my teachers and my foster parents, and I'm mean to my sisters, or I yell at my visits, hit people, hit myself, stuff like that.
And what was 10?
10 are the days that I don't do any of that stuff.
Right. Last week you said you were at about a 3. Is that right?
Yeah, 3.
Okay, well what would you say you're at today?
4.
Okay, moved up since last week. Why is that?
Well, last week I had gotten ISS, and I hadn't gotten any smiley faces at school, and I got grounded for being mean to the visitation lady at my visits. I still got in trouble this week, but not as much.
That's good. How does that make you feel moving from a 3 to a 4?
Good. Makes me feel good.
Well, it should. It makes me feel good too. What do you think it is about that makes you feel good?
I guess it's good to know that I'm doing better, even if it's just a little bit, because a 10 means doing nothing wrong, and everyone does wrong stuff sometimes.
That's true. Everyone does.
So, at least I'm getting closer to not doing those things anymore.
That's a great way to look at it, John. And I think the best part is you are the one who made you move from a 3 to a 4. Not me, not your foster parents, not your caseworker, just you. You're changing the decisions you make all on your own. That is definitely something to feel good about.
Yeah, I think I do.
Good, I'm glad. You've done a really great job sharing about your coping skills and the way you learn to use them. I look forward to hearing the progress you'll make when you share next week, just like you've made progress from this week. There is something specific I'd like to talk about now, though. Do you know what it is?
Probably.
What do you think it is?
About what happened at the visitation center.
Why don't you tell me about it?
Sounds like you already know. I shouldn't have to tell you.
Okay, John, I can tell you're upset about me knowing, but you know your caseworker likes to give me a heads up about things that might be a good idea for us to talk about and during our times together. And even though I already know about it, I would very much like to hear it from your side. Would you like to tell me your side?
Fine. Tuesdays are the days me and my 3 sisters all see each other at our visit with my mom. The rest of the week we all visit at different times, but I only see my 2 sisters from the other foster home on Tuesdays.
So I bet you really look forward to Tuesdays then, huh? Seeing them that day is probably really important to you.
Yeah. And when we got to the visitation center, they told me my mom had canceled the visit because she was sick and my sisters weren't coming at all.
Oh no, that must have been really disappointing, especially when you look forward to seeing them so much. What happened after that?
Well, I got really mad, and I wouldn't leave with the transporter, and when she told me that I had to leave, I ran into one of the visitation rooms, and I locked the door, and I locked myself in, and I hit the wall every time someone tried to make me come out, and the kids in the visits in the other room started crying because I was scaring them with all my yelling and hitting.
Yeah, I see. Did that help?
No. But it's like when I get that mad, I can't help it. I want to, but I can't.
I'm sure feeling anger that strongly can be confusing, especially if you feel like you can't stop it.
Yeah, it is kind of confusing.
Well, sometimes when I'm angry, I try to tell myself or ask myself some questions to help me look at things differently. Can I ask you some questions?
I guess.
Okay. So you've been visiting your sisters at the visitation center for about a year now, right?
Right.
And how many times would you say you visited them there in the past year?
I don't know. Lots and lots of times.
Yeah, that's right. Lots and lots of times. And out of all those lots and lots of times, this is the one time you were unable to see them, right?
Right.
So do you think that means that since it was so unusual for you to not see them there, it could have been for a good reason?
Maybe.
And if that time was different than the other lots and lots of times, do you think that means there's a good chance you'll still get to see them there again?
Probably.
Do you think you'll be able to keep seeing them there if you yell and things and scare the other kids?
Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. And being able to see them there is really important to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, would you like to talk about some things you can remind yourself, or some questions you could ask when you start feeling that way?
I guess so.
Great. Why don't you start? Tell me some of your ideas. You always have really great ideas, and I'd love to hear some of them.
Well, I could try to remind myself that I want to see my sisters there and I won't be able to if I scare the other kids.
That's true. Reminding ourselves of the consequences of our actions is always a smart thing to do. What else? What about some questions you could ask some of the adults around you?
I could ask them why I can't see my sisters before I get mad about it.
Yeah, that would be a great question to ask. Once you understand why the change is happening, you might be disappointed, which is perfectly alright, but you won't need to be angry. What else?
I could ask my caseworker if she could set up a visit for me and my sisters.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Now, John, let's talk about some goals we can set for you to work on this coming week. You've mentioned to me that you have a hard time making friends and keeping the ones you have. Do you remember when we talked about that?
Yeah.
And do you remember the reasons you told me this was the case?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what were they?
Sometimes I just annoy people on purpose, or I blame them for things that are my fault, or I get mad really easily, or really angry for no good reason and I'm mean to them.
Okay, good. So let's talk about some goals related specifically to you and your friends. Now, remember how we talked about the important thing about goals we set is that there's always a way to measure them.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, what is the time you seem to have a lot of conflict and fights with your friends?
Well, I get in trouble at lunch a lot.
Okay, what kind of trouble?
Well, I get annoyed at my friends, or I take their stuff and we fight, and then the lunch patrol lady has to come over and move me to a table by myself.
So when you're able to handle the conflict by yourself, maybe using the 3 breaths or the space statement, the lunch patrol lady doesn't get involved, right?
Right.
So maybe that could be a good goal to set for next week.
What do you mean?
Well, something like, when sitting at lunch with my friends this week, the lunch patrol lady will not have to get involved for at least 3 out of the 5 times I eat lunch at school. How does that sound?
I shouldn't make my goal 5 out of 5 times?
Well, if she doesn't get involved 5 out of 5 times, that would be very exciting. But it's kind of like our scaling questions. We're working towards a 10, but we're happy to get 9s, 8s, and 7s first. So with this, you can certainly aim 5 out of 5 days, but you can also know that you can be proud of 3 out of 5 days too, since it's a brand new goal and we're just setting it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Why don't you write that down in your goals journal? another thing you talked to me about was getting in trouble at your visits at the visitation center. What kind of trouble do you mean?
Sometimes I hover over the visitation lady and try to watch what she's writing down.
Why do you think you do that?
Because I don't want her to write anything bad about me.
Well, what makes you think she's writing something bad about you?
Because I'm bad.
You're bad?
Yeah, I'm bad. I never listen to what my teachers and my foster parents tell me to do. I hit things, I say mean things, I'm mean to people who are trying to help me. Like now, I'm yelling at you, I let bad things happen to people, and if I had come home sooner, then my mom's boyfriend wouldn't have hurt my sister.
John, can you try taking some of the 3 deep breaths for me?
And if I'd come home sooner and he hadn't hurt my sister, then we wouldn't have been taken away from my mom. And if people wanted to keep me, then we'd all be in the same foster home instead of being split up all the time. But no one wants to keep me because I'm bad.
John, 3 breaths, okay? 2, 3. Good. Good job. Now, it sounds like we went from talking about what upsets you about visitation to what upsets you about something else. Sounds like what you're talking about is how you and your sisters got placed in foster care.
Yeah.
Now, I told you we don't have to talk about that before you're ready. So would you like to talk about it now?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, it's up to you.
It's just that I was in a foster home once when I was little because one of my mom's boyfriends hurt me. I don't remember much about it because I was little, but then last year another one of my mom's boyfriends hurt my sister. My mom said I'm supposed to be her little man and I'm supposed to take care of everyone, and I didn't. And these things keep happening and I'm not making them better, so that must mean that I'm bad. And being bad and not being able to stop being bad makes me mad. It makes me really, really mad. Mad all the time.
Yeah, well, I see you've kept those thoughts to yourself for a long time. I really appreciate you sharing them with me. That was really brave. And you're a really brave boy, John.
I'm not.
You are. You're brave and you're not bad. Remember how we talked about what happened with Danny earlier? And how everyone had to take responsibility for their own acts?
Yeah, so what?
Well, so in the story you just told me, it sounds like a lot of different people were making different decisions, and it sounds like they weren't all good decisions. Did you make the decision for your mom's first boyfriend to hurt you when you were little?
No.
And when you were little and he was so much bigger than you, could you have done anything to stop that?
No, I guess not.
Right. And when your mom left the second boyfriend in charge of your little sister, whose decision was that?
My mom's.
And when he hurt your little sister, whose decision was that?
His.
And when you came home and found your little sister hurt, what did you do?
I ran down to the neighbors and called 911 and then I called my mom.
Right. You ran and got help as soon as possible so that the doctors could see your sister as soon as possible. And now she's great, isn't she?
Yeah.
So when you decided to run and get help right away to make sure your sister would be taken care of, whose decision was that?
Mine.
See? Well, to me, John, it sounds like you made the best decision out of everyone in your story. You made the brave decision and the good decision.
I guess I did.
That's right. You made a very good decision. In a very scary time, you were able to make a very good decision, when a lot of people wouldn't have been able to think straight enough to do anything at all. You know what that shows me?
What?
That shows me that you are capable of making really good decisions. And if you can make such good decisions then, you can make them anytime, even when you're angry. Does that make sense?
I guess.
Okay, so you said that feeling bad all the time makes you feel angry. I would like to keep having these talks with you so you can see that you're not bad, so that you can believe you're as good as I believe you are. It's okay to be angry about all that has happened. You and your sisters never should have had to experience those things. And sometimes when things happen to us that shouldn't, it makes us feel really angry. What we have to try to do is find ways to deal with that anger in healthy ways that don't hurt ourselves or those around us.
Okay.
Learning how to do that can seem pretty overwhelming though, so if it's okay with you, I'd like it if we kept setting those goals we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
Now, you've already written one great goal in your goal journal. The second one was going to be about getting in trouble at your visits because you stand too close to the monitor, right?
I don't feel like it's that close. I'm just trying to read her notes.
Well, do you move away when she asks you to?
Sometimes.
Okay, well, would you say out of all the times she's ever asked you to move away, you listen to her more than you don't listen to her?
No.
So what would be a good goal there?
To move when she asks me to.
Right. How about something like, I will back away from the monitor when she asks, after 2 or less verbal cues from her. Do you know what cues are?
Yeah, you mean like when she tells me to, but how close is too close?
That's a great question. Everyone has something called personal space, and it's a space near us that we prefer other people not to come into for all kinds of reasons, like it makes us feel threatened or uncomfortable. The size of everyone's personal space is a little different though, so I find a good rule of thumb is an arm's length. Stick your arms straight out like a zombie. Great. Now get up and walk towards me and stop when your hand touches me. Perfect. You see that space? Okay, you can sit back down. The distance from me to you when you did that is 1 arm's length. So how about your goal this week is at my visits this week? If I get within an arm's length of the visitation monitor, I will back away after 2 or less verbal cues from her or anyone else. How does that sound?
That sounds okay.
Great. Why don't you add it to your journal?
I'm gonna write it down.
Okay. Well, you've done some really great work so far, John. We made a lot of progress with your homework assignment, and you've set 2 excellent goals for us to talk about next week. How about we do something a little different? I hear you are quite the artist.
Not really. I just like to draw.
Well, drawing can be a really great way to help us control our stress. Did you know that?
No, it's just drawing.
Well, that's true, but when people do things they enjoy, it releases positive chemicals in their brains and helps them feel calmer. So since everyone likes different things, it looks different for everyone. For me, I like to garden. Some people like to play music or write stories, and you like to draw. I'm not very good at drawing, though, even though I'd like to be, so I admire your interest in it. Would you draw something for me?
Sure, like what?
Well, I have an exercise called the crystal ball. Do you know what a crystal ball is?
Yeah, it's in fairy tales and stuff. You look into it to see the future, but they aren't real or anything.
That's correct, but for this exercise, just for fun, we're going to pretend they are real and that you have one.
I have one?
You sure do. And I want you to draw me a picture of what your future looks like when you know how to stop your anger like you want to. Does that make sense?
So you mean you want me to draw a picture of what things would look like if they were how I wanted them?
Yes. If the specific problem you've mentioned, which is not knowing how to handle your anger, was gone, what would your life look like? Can you try to draw it for me?
Sure. Think about it.
Take your time.
Do you want to see it?
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Wow, you really are good at drawing. That is excellent.
Thanks.
Can you tell me about what you drew?
Well, this is at my visits, and me and my sisters are all sitting together and we're eating pizza, and everyone's getting along, and no one got in trouble, and the visitation lady is smiling because she doesn't have anything bad to write about me.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one is me at school, and I'm holding my planner, and I have all smiley faces for all the days, and I'm playing basketball with a bunch of people, and they're all my friends.
Excellent. You're really talented, John. How did you feel while you were drawing that?
Good, not mad.
You know how you looked to me?
How?
Happy and calm. You had a little smile on your face the whole time you were holding the pencil.
Really?
Really? Do you think this could be a good coping skill to try? Like if your 3 breaths or your space statement aren't quite doing the trick and you're able to, just go to your room and draw something that makes you happy. Helps you calm down a little.
Guess I could try it.
Yeah, try it. Well, John, today went really well. I can tell you really made a lot of effort with your homework assignments last week, working on the coping skills of the 3 breaths and the space statement. You even added a new one today, removing yourself from a stressful situation to draw alone, which is a great idea. Next week, I expect you'll be able to tell me more ways you had these skills.
Okay.
You also came up with 2 excellent goals for the coming week that will be easy for you to measure and tell me about next time. Can you tell me what they were again?
Well, one was that this week when I have lunch with my friends, the lunch lady will not have to come and move me 3 out of 5 times that I eat lunch at school. And the other one is that on my visits, if I get within 1 arm of the visit lady, I'll get away from her after 2 times or less that she or somebody else tells me to.
Very good. Now, can I tell you what else you did this session that I'm really proud of you for?
What?
You took responsibility for your actions when you threw the ball at Danny at school.
It's no big deal. I did throw the ball.
I know you did, but something we've talked about in the past is how you get in trouble. You intentionally blame people whether they did anything wrong or not. Admitting your role in a negative situation shows a lot of maturity, especially when it would be easy to blame Danny for everything, since you felt that you were being treated unfairly. So I'm very proud of you.
Thanks.
I'm also proud of you for talking about what happened with your mom's boyfriend and how it affects your anger. It must be really hard to talk about these memories, and it was very brave of you to share them.
I guess.
It was. And the good news is, now that you've been able to see how these things relate to your anger, it will become easier to start to control your anger instead of letting it control you. Does that seem like good news to you?
I guess.
It is good news. So we will keep setting these goals as little steps to lead you where you want to go. You've already shown you're capable of meeting the goals you've set for yourself, even when you make some mistakes. But we all make mistakes sometimes. The important part is that you keep trying, just like you have been and just like you did today. That will be our plan in here, and your foster parents will keep using some of the things we've talked about at the behavior board at home. Because it's important that you know all of the people who care about you are working together to try to help you end up like the picture you drew today. You have a lot of people in your corner, John. Do you know that?
I guess so.
You do. Now, one last thing I want to tell you. I want you to tell me the positive things you learned about yourself today.
Well, you said that I was brave,
You did. What else?
that I can make good choices,
Mhm.
I'm good at drawing,
Mhm.
and you said I could show maturity.
That's right. And those aren't true just because I said them, but they're true because that's who you are.
Thanks.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all the hard work you did in session today. I can't wait to hear about how you do with your goals next week. I know it will be good news, and I'll see you next week, okay?
Okay.